British Vogue has featured 3 of South African designers on their 7 inspiring African fashion brands to know, and among them, South African knitwear brand Maxhosa, founded by Laduma Ngxokolo, whose colorful graphic pieces have caught the eye of the likes of Beyoncé and Alicia Keys. Then there's Mnisi, who's also garnered a fan base of high-profile clientele, and 2019 LVMH prize for emerging title holder, that's Tebe Makuku. So, Asanda Sizani is former Glamour Magazine SA Editor and an editor consultant who's worked closely with some of these brands. She joins us now for a bit more on what this means. Asanda, thanks for your time and welcome to Newzroom Afrika. So one of the perks of being a news anchor that's a male is that I get to hide behind the suits. You don't get a sense of my horrible fashion sense. So I'm going to need a lot of help to get a sense of what makes these particular 3 brands stand out, especially on a global stage the way they have.
Well, Ayanda, I met Laduma 10 years ago, and I've had the great pleasure of having, worked and featured, collaborated with all 3 designers over the years. And what I can tell you is they are each extraordinarily talented. They're adding to the narrative of African creativity in a major way. I love consistency and their hard work and how they've created a signature for each brand. There's story behind the brands. There's craftsmanship, there's creativity and artistry. So they're definitely important voices in fashion and in design in general, and they're really making us proud as South Africans.
Absolutely. You speak about them being important voices. This is obviously a thumbs up for their career, but what are the implications for the South African industry?
It's very affirming for South African designers to be recognized on a global scale and in prominent, prestigious platforms like British Vogue. It's not the first time that Laduma, Tebe and Rich have been profiled in this way. They've personally met, a lot of the key players in the industry, and the more recognition they receive, the more opportunities, the more exposure that not only Laduma and Tebe receive, but all of the designers in South Africa and in Africa, the more, hope it actually gives even students and young designers and untapped talent that much of in this country. It shows them that it's possible to work hard, to be consistent at what you do, and also be recognized for and acknowledged for the talent that you have and the hard work that you put into your brand. So this definitely says a lot about talent we have in South Africa. There's so much more that still needs to be uncovered.
Absolutely. I mean, you touch on issues around representation, right? The fact that if we're able to see ourselves, hopefully that'll manifest in us reaching our full potentials. But I'm interested to find out, how much of the African aesthetic, the African creativity you spoke of, is slowly being mimicked or imitated elsewhere in the world. I mean, what's that saying? The best form of flattery is imitation, something like that.
Well, I believe that African designers are the future of fashion. I really do believe that. And, Kenneth, for example, from Nigeria, was announced as a new designer. He designed for a collection for Karl Lagerfeld that is major. And the female designer from Nigeria, Malola, designed a collection for Kanye West. So we have so many designers, not only South Africa, but in the country, that are being invited to work and collaborate with these global brands. So it's actually very important in that African design and African creativity isn't only looked at as a source of inspiration, but we also invite to sit at tables and invited to actually be involved and collaborate and inject some of our ideas and vision and creativity in other global brands. The future is in Africa, and I think the more they actually invite us to collaborate and work with these brands, the better it will be for design in general.
Absolutely. I remember a time when Maxhosa in particular was starting to receive all kinds of attention. It also unearthed conversations around cultural appropriation and the likes. There's obviously inspiration from different cultures that a lot of these brands tap into. How much of that conversation is happening within the industry? You know, is there a consideration of some cultural groups that may take offense to what you do and don't adapt from their rites and rituals?
It's still an ongoing, conversation, but I think it's definitely important to speak to these designers, to invite them, as I was saying, to work with other global brands so that it doesn't, come across as, them just, taking our ideas and not being recognized. Because the source of these ideas is the one that's actually going to do it in the most authentic way possible. No one can do Laduma like Laduma can do Maxhosa. He knows the culture, he knows the backstory, he's lived it, he is that person, and he's here on the ground. So it's not just going to be some interpretation that doesn't come with understanding. It comes with full understanding and knowledge of what these patterns and these textures and these colors and all these nuances actually mean. So they're able to better translate these ideas because they actually are from these specific cultures in South Africa.
An inclusive type of approach. And that also lends itself to speaking about affordability, right? Many people say, don't do things about us without us. Is there a concerted effort to make sure that these brands, these designs, these fabrics are accessible to most, if not all, South Africans?
A couple of these brands that have positioned themselves as luxury brands do also do more accessible ranges. They do, let's say, collaborations with local retailers. Tebe, for example, had a collection with Woolworths, so that was more of a mass, easily accessible version of what he does, and he still continues running his own brand. Rich as well, Rich Misi, has worked with a few local retailers at the same time. So there's definitely a variety of different price points to make their work accessible and affordable to a wide range of South Africans.
All right. Thanks very much for your time and for getting us into the picture. Interesting conversations in the world of fashion. Certainly appreciate it. Asanda Sizani is, of course, a consulting editor. Appreciate your time indeed.